Not every man who fails is foolish, but every man who refuses to learn is choosing to remain blind in a world that rewards clarity. You see, foolishness has nothing to do with intelligence. It's not about test scores or degrees. It's about poor judgment, unregulated emotion, and a constant self-sabotage that hides behind pride. Niccolò Machiavelli, one of history's most brutally honest thinkers, believed that stupidity was not a lack of intellect, but a lack of strategy. So today, we dive into the 10 unmistakable signs of a foolish man, and more importantly, how to become the kind of man the world cannot ignore, not because he shouts, but because he's in control. 1. He always needs to prove himself. Watch a foolish man in an argument. He'll go to war over the tiniest slight. He'll debate to win, not to understand. Why? Because his ego is fragile. His identity depends on being seen as superior. But here's the truth: the more you need to be seen, the less power you actually have. A wise man, on the other hand, doesn't need to prove himself. He knows that silence is a weapon, that letting others underestimate him only increases his leverage. The foolish man craves respect. The wise man earns it quietly. 2. He thinks emotion is power. He lashes out, gets offended, snaps over criticism. He mistakes reactivity for passion. But in reality, it only reveals his lack of control. In a game of power, he who stays calm wins. If you can be provoked, you can be controlled. And if your emotions are predictable, you've already lost the advantage. A wise man doesn't show his anger, not because he doesn't feel it, but because he knows. The more he reveals, the less he controls. 3. He wants to look strong instead of being strong. He raises his voice. He postures. He tries to dominate every space he walks into. But true power doesn't seek attention. It seeks outcomes. Real strength is quiet. It's measured. It's composed. The foolish man confuses fear with respect, and noise with leadership. But the wise man, he doesn't burn bridges to prove he's a lion. He builds networks until he controls the entire jungle. 4. He can't delay gratification. A foolish man always wants it now. The success, the recognition, the comfort. Give him an easy path, he'll take it. Offer him a shortcut, he'll sell his future for it. But power is not fast. It is slow, deliberate, earned. The wise man plays the long game, while others rush for applause. He builds quietly in the shadows, until he owns the whole board. 5. He always has to be the smartest in the room. He interrupts, over-explains, and boasts about things no one asked for. Why? Because silence feels like invisibility, and invisibility terrifies him. But true intelligence isn't loud. It's strategic. It listens. It observes. A wise man doesn't reveal everything he knows. He lets others speak, and in doing so, watches them expose themselves. The fool seeks applause. The wise seek position. 6. He underestimates the power of emotional control. 550. He thinks yelling is power, that making others feel small is strength. But in truth, every outburst is a map to your weakness. A composed man? He's a mystery. He disorients his opponents, not by what he says, but by what he withholds. Emotional restraint is a weapon, and silence can be the most dangerous signal in the room. 7. He mistakes validation for value. 645. He lives for praise. He needs to be liked, followed, applauded, without external approval. He feels worthless, but validation is borrowed. Value is built. A wise man doesn't bend himself to be liked. He knows that self-respect means walking alone if necessary. If you need applause to feel alive, you've already given your power away. 8. He keeps enemies close without a strategy. 740. He thinks he's clever by letting snakes sit at his table. But Machiavelli warned, the closer the enemy, the faster the strike. A foolish man confuses tolerance with strength. But a wise man studies his enemies, not with arrogance, but with calculation. He controls the terrain, and never mistakes exposure for immunity. 9. He thinks chaos is strength. He believes that being unpredictable means he's in control. But chaos without direction? That's just noise. And confusion without a plan? That's weakness dressed up as power. A wise man may appear unpredictable, but every move is calculated. The fool lashes out because he wants to feel significant. The wise man stays quiet until his silence creates the loudest impact of all. 10. He doesn't learn from his mistakes. 9:25. He fails, then blames others, then does it again. This is not confidence, it's ignorance wrapped in ego. A wise man sees failure as feedback. Every fall becomes a new formula. Every setback a sharpening stone. But the fool, he clings to pride and repeats the very behavior that keeps him weak. These 10 signs, they're not just about recognizing fools in the world. They're about recognizing the fool that lives in all of us. The part that wants to react, impress, rush, and avoid responsibility. But that part isn't permanent. The path from foolishness to wisdom begins the moment you confront these traits and decide, I will master myself before I ever try to master anyone else. Because the world doesn't need more noise. It needs more clarity, more restraint, more men who think before they move, and move with purpose. If this video made you reflect, even a little, then I ask you, like this video, subscribe to the Still Stoic, and share this with a friend who might be ready to evolve. Leave a comment below. Which of these signs have you seen, in others or in yourself? And what will you do differently moving forward? Because wisdom begins not in knowledge, but in the courage to confront yourself. Stay strong. Stay silent. Stay sovereign. Until next time.